What might be best is we say it starts at 10:15 each day.
Well, I think this was just an abnormality, but
Because we normally have been starting around 10:15
Have
since the press conference, yeah. All right. Guys, we're going to rock and roll here on the Jerry and Jerry Show. A lot to cover, including the Florida State Seminoles in town. Florida State's a powerhouse football team, but that line, at least yesterday's line, was 7.5, and depending on where you shop, it's narrowed. We'll talk UVA's win against Stanford, a convincing victory. The clear-cut star power of quarterback Chandler Morris, who is a dynamo. He's got legs, he's got an arm, he's got the brains. He has commanded Des Kitchens and Tony Elliott's offense with efficiency and upside in a very short period of time. We'll talk about what's working with Virginia football. We'll talk Atlantic Coast Conference as well. Debut Sweeney and Clemson, goodness gracious, are they in a tough spot? A lot to cover on the Jerry and Jerry Show ahead of a Tony Elliott press conference this morning at 11:30. We have the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe in the house on a program that is quite popular among Wahoo Nation. Judah Wickauer is behind the camera. Judah, I will confirm some of the platforms we're live upon as you do the same. Keep that Facebook Messenger open so we can communicate on a show we very much enjoy doing here. All right, J-Dubs, we are looking good on our end, and we can rock and roll when you're ready. Welcome to the Jerry and Jerry Show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network on a show that spotlights a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer and a household name, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe. Today's program is one full of excitement, full of anticipation, and full of upside. Virginia football is absolutely dominant right now. And yes, we know it's a 3-1 record. Yes, we know those 3 victories have been against inferior competition, and frankly speaking, competition that would be the weakest on UVA's schedule. However, the upside and the excitement is palpable and tangible in Wahoo Nation, and certainly in Charlottesville and in Albemarle County. Adding to that upside, adding to that excitement, the Florida State Seminoles, a top 10 football team. A top 10 football team in Scott Stadium, a top 10 football team under the lights on Friday night on national television. We will break down a matchup against what is probably the best football team on Virginia's football schedule, a matchup that's commanding the attention of Cavalier fans, the coaching staff, and the players alike. So much to cover on the program. Judah Wickauer behind the cameras, the director and producer of our Fine and Fair talk show. And Judah, why don't we go to the studio camera and let's welcome the star of the show, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe, the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer. My friend, good Tuesday morning to you.
Great to see you. I was beginning to wonder if I was going to make it in this morning. It was a huge traffic jam behind a wreck, and unfortunately I got stuck in it. But great to see you, and football's fun again, at least for now.
It's fun again is how I would describe it as well. I don't think viewers and listeners, in fact, viewers and listeners do realize when the team is struggling like they've struggled over the last 3 years, it makes the content creation side of what we do tough. You want to cover a winner. And right now, Virginia is 3-1 on the season. They easily could have been 4-0. They have the Florida State Seminoles coming in on Friday night. The line opened at 7.5 yesterday. It's down to 6.5 right now.
Interesting.
The line is moving. Scatter shooting with Jerry Ratcliffe. We start the program that way every single time.
Well, I've just been impressed with the way the offense has been able to just stack up yards, and they're ranked really high nationally in so many offensive categories. And I know part of that is because of some of the teams they've played, but it's the way it goes. Florida State's the number 1 offense in the country, and they Certainly, they beat Alabama in the first game, but they've just beaten a couple of teams more inferior than Virginia's opponents so far. East Texas A&M and Kent State, and so the key is when you get an opportunity like that, you roll up the numbers and you put a hurting on those people, and that's why Tony Elliott got upset with his team. I think after the third quarter Saturday night, even though they were pounding Stanford, he felt like that they should have been in more full control and was trying to teach them a lesson. That when good teams see blood in the water, they don't let their foot off the brakes. They pound, and instead of 48-20, it becomes 65-20. And so that's something he was trying to get across to his teammates, and I think it resonated.
I think it resonated as well. The offense in full command. Chandler Morris. How do you characterize Chandler Morris, the quarterback? I mean, this guy can run. This guy can throw. He has command of the offense. He's elusive in the pocket. He's quick and elusive outside the pocket. He's got an arm that has surprised me with its strength, especially throwing it downfield. He can distribute the football, get a lot of people involved. He's got playmakers everywhere. There's depth in the running back position. There's boatloads of depth at the wide receiver position. The tight ends can catch. The only concern, and we'll talk about it with you, is the offensive line. Another injury against Stanford. Though that storyline in a matter of moments. First, the Chandler Morris storyline.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's raving about him, and we talked to the Florida State defensive coordinator yesterday, Tony White, who is expected to be the next head coach at UCLA, and he raved about Chandler Morris the entire 17 minutes he was addressing the media. And I mean, if you look at it, I mean, Morris has only played one full game thus far, partially because of an injury in one game and just because they were killing people in some of the other games. But he's ranked 17th in the NCAA in passing percentage. Nearly 71% of his passes have been complete, which is pretty darn good, and 18th in passing yards, 1,050 yards. He's tied in for 24th in TD passes with 8. If he had played 4 full games, who knows what his numbers might look like. But he's led Virginia to 564 yards per game, which is unprecedented in Virginia history. Certainly that number won't hold up over a 12-game schedule, but currently that's 5th in the nation in total offense, 11th in scoring, 45.5 points a game. The rushing, which is really impressive, because when's the last time Virginia had a good running attack?
It's been a while.
They're 12th in the nation right now, right. 251 yards per game and 13 rushing touchdowns. I don't think they had but like 16 touchdowns all season last year. But so they're putting up some big time numbers, and it's certainly got Florida State's attention.
The line moving from 7.5 to 6.5 suggests the betting public sees this game being more narrow than Vegas initially anticipated when setting the line at the beginning of the week. We know that line can move, and we're still a few days away from kickoff Friday night, Scott Stadium, national television. This game, a lot of people are projecting to be pretty tight. Florida State is not underestimating Chandler Morris and Virginia football.
No.
The offense is as prolific and dynamic as I've seen since when, Hootie?
The early grow years for sure, and then you'd have to go back to 98 and 95 and 90 under George Welsh when they had some incredible offensive weapons and were putting up a lot of yardage and points. But, yeah, I think a lot of people are remembering 1995 and 2005 when George Welsh and Al Groh directed upsets to highly nationally ranked Florida State teams under the lights at Scott Stadium, and maybe they can do it again.
Offensive line. Give us the breakdown here. That's the only concern I have on this offense is the offensive line.
Yeah, well, those guys get beaten up a lot because it's like they're in a street fight or in a bar fight, as Drake Metcalf put it a couple of weeks ago. Every time they go out there, the center went down in the Stanford game, and
one of their best offensive linemen.
Yeah, he's graded out high all season. He's done a great job. I think he's been one of the, I wouldn't say surprises because they knew he was good, but I think he's even exceeded their expectations. And we'll find out more about him at today's press conference. They were hoping that it was just a calf strain, but that's been Saturday night, and we haven't had any updates and so far. So if that's the case, they'll probably move Metcalf as they did in the Stanford game over from right guard to center because he originally came here, I think, as a center and handles that well. It's just a matter of adjustment. They'd have to be reshuffling some linemen again, something that they've done a lot of in previous years, but haven't had to do too much this season up until except at the right tackle spot where they're on their fourth offensive right tackle.
Virginia football fans, put your questions in the chat box. I'll relay them live on air. Multiple questions on the status of the offensive line here.
Yeah, well,
we find out today at 11:30.
Yeah, and Brady Wilson is the center. We'll find out.
It's an ACC game, so we'll get an update.
Yeah, and Tony Elliott's pretty good about informing the media about injuries on the team anyway. He's been pretty transparent about that all along, and now it's a rule for ACC games. You have to put out an injury report, and those things can be subject to scrutiny because a lot of people will put somebody down as probable or questionable, and there's a lot of leeway there. So you can put down 30 guys as questionable or probable, and only half of those might not be able to play. So we'll find out more later this morning, but hopefully for Virginia's sake, Wilson is okay, and they can get back to the normal starting offensive line.
Vanessa Parkhill in Earlysville. I don't like saying this, but I believe Chandler Morris and the UVA offense are putting up better numbers than her Penn State Nittany Lions. And PSU arguably has not played any tougher competition. Keep up the good work and go Hoos. Thank you, Vanessa Parkhill, for that comment. Bill McChesney watching the program. Folks in Richmond, Virginia, Southwestern Virginia, Newport News, Northern Virginia watching the program. Let us know where you're watching, and we'll relay that live on air along with your comments. This comment continues to come in, and I've seen it over the last few weeks. Chandler Morris is the key to this offense. He's playing at times where the game has already been decided. Why do they continue to risk an injury to Chandler Morris when the outcome is decided well before the fourth period and into the third quarter?
Well, I think part of that is because he hasn't played in the second half and in some of these games, and even though he's an experienced quarterback, he's not experienced with these players. These guys are been together since August, some of them since the spring, but in terms of actual playing time together, only for a month. And so they're trying to get him
reps,
as much reps and recognition and chemistry and stuff with the rest of his teammates as they possibly can. And in the meantime, they're giving backup Danny Kalen a good amount of playing time for a redshirt freshman, and he appears to be the quarterback of the future. So I think they've handled it pretty well.
I completely agree with you.
I just think they're trying to give him more experience in this offense with these set of players, because they're even though their numbers are great, they're still trying to build chemistry and continuity with one another.
I completely agree with you on that. Chandler Morris, if anything, from my standpoint, maybe gets more reps than what he's had. He's had, from a live action standpoint, not even 4 games, and really when you look at it, maybe less than 3 games.
Yeah,
from a live action, because he had the injury in the Coastal game.
Yeah,
that was in the second quarter, I think.
He played the first series of the second quarter, and then he was out.
Yeah. So
he didn't play the second half against William and Mary at all.
So you're talking a quarter against Coastal.
Yeah.
2 quarters against William and Mary. That's 3. Played the whole game against NC State.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he play? 3 quarters against?
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically 3?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's barely 3 games into a season.
Yeah.
In his first year in the program. And balancing the only potential concern with Chandler Morris, he's not the biggest guy, and he does a lot of things out of the pocket. And he's been hit hard multiple times already through 4 games.
He has, yeah.
Got hit hard against Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
So the injury concern is a fair concern, Wahoo fans, but at the same time, you have to balance that with getting live action for reps, which could pay dividends against Florida State.
He's a Texas boy, a coach's son. I think he's been around. He can take it. He's, anybody can get injured, but he's a pretty tough kid. I think he's smart enough. He usually knows how to take a hit. You can't always control that, obviously, but he's been pretty smart about his health and his safety, and other than not sliding on that one play that against Coastal that knocked him out of the game. But he's learning. He's been sliding a lot in the last few games since then. But I think he'll be fine. He's a pretty smart kid, and it doesn't take much to realize just how smart he is when you go back and look at a game and do some replays of certain situations and see how how he reacts to pressure and I think he has an uncanny ability on third down or on scramble situations to be able to keep plays alive with his feet and buy time and find somebody open. And another unique aspect to him that I like that I haven't seen in many quarterbacks here or anywhere really is he has a knack for being able to throw the ball with arm angles that a lot of quarterbacks can't do. You see some of the really good quarterbacks in history that figure it out. They find a way that there's not a clear throwing lane, so they find ways, underhanded, whatever.
Drew Brees did a phenomenal job with that.
Yes, he did.
Drew Brees understood.
Patrick Mahomes is pretty good.
Patrick Mahomes is fantastic at this.
Brett Favre was good at that.
100%.
Aaron Rodgers, yeah.
And for someone like Chandler Morris, who's not the tallest guy, throwing from different release points is extremely important because that allows him to get the ball through much taller offensive linemen that are in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like a Drew Bledsoe or a Tom Brady, the prototypical drop back, can throw over top of the lineman. He's able to navigate passing lanes, Chandler Morris, by throwing around linemen, and he does that extremely well. I've been most surprised by the arm talent downfield and most surprised by his get up and go, the quickness with eluding defenses, turning the corner to get upfield to move chains. That's most surprised me. I will caveat it saying he, on Friday, will see defensive speed and quickness that he has yet to see this season.
True.
Which I think is safe to say. But through 4 games, that's what's most surprised me. What's most surprised you with Chandler Morris?
Probably the same. just his ability to find receivers and make plays where a lot of guys would throw the ball away or take a loss or even force a turnover. He seems to find ways to make a play and keep plays alive and keep the chains moving. And I think that when he goes off script like that, I think that's what scares defensive coordinators the most. In
100%.
fact, Florida State's coordinator said the same thing yesterday.
I'll throw this to you and comments. I'm going to get to the comments coming in here. Got a comment coming from Short Pump, which is rating on the parade a little bit, which I understand the concept coming in from Short Pump, the comment. 4 games of the year. How much of the 4 games do we chalk up as this is valid data? This is valid trend line that we can use to project outcomes through the rest of the year? Or how much do we chalk up to William & Mary and Coastal Carolina are not very good, and Stanford looks like it's in the bottom of the Atlantic Coast Conference? NC State might be a middle-of-the-pack team.
Yeah.
Virginia still lost that game.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody's pulling any punches here. I think the coaches have made the team aware that, they haven't beaten up on a murderer's row at this point. And Florida State, Mike Norvell's and Gus Malzahn, their offensive coordinator, shared that same thought yesterday about their team. They haven't exactly played a top 10 schedule yet either, and they said we've let our players we haven't hit anything from them. They know that we haven't played elite competition yet, so the tougher parts of our schedule is coming up, and I'm sure Tony Elliott has done the same. That there's a dose of reality in there that your numbers are great. They're not going to stay that way because you're going to play tougher competition, but still there are signs and things that you can see that I think would give a coaching staff a lot of hope and promise that this isn't your normal Virginia football team. And we've said that back in August, that they've gone out and pursued talent, and the talent is showing itself. Mike Norvell said yesterday that I think his exact quote I have here is that, talking about Virginia, this is a team that can absolutely contend for the ACC title, talking about Virginia. So they're not taking Virginia lightly. They see that the numbers might be skewed by the competition, but they see enough on film that there's playmakers all over the field, as we pointed out, and a quarterback who's heady and doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and a legitimate running game, a solid offensive line, and plenty of playmakers and like Trell Harris and Cam Ross and Edrin and some of the other guys that, they have nine receivers averaging over 10 yards per catch, and you just don't see that in most football programs. But there's talent all over the field, and the numbers have been skewed by the competition, but that's better than going out there and flogging around and like they have some in the past and losing a game that they shouldn't lose, or not playing up to their own expectations or beating themselves. And so they, other than the one flaw down at the end of the NC State game, they've played some pretty good football.
Defense, your take on the defense. This comment comes in from Short Pump. I get what you guys are talking about the offense, and the offense has looked really good. You should talk about the defense and some of the concerns on that side of the ball. 20 against Stanford, and the shortcomings against NC State could prove concerning as this schedule toughens.
Well, there's no question about that. I think the defense, there's still a question mark out there. They've given up too many big plays in the passing game. The secondary is somewhat suspect. A lot of people thought the secondary would be tighter than what it's been. They've let too many receivers get behind them and given up big chunks of yardage, touchdowns, and were shredded by NC State's running game. But they did respond last week, and they shut down a pretty good Stanford running attack and held them to like 35 yards rushing or something ridiculous like that. Some of that was sack yardage. They did sack the quarterback 5 times, which was a good sign. They haven't created a lot of turnovers. Cam Robinson coming back last week got a fumble recovery. So a lot of times games like this, if we're having a shootout and teams are moving the ball up and down the field, it's a matter of I think Dave Doran said it. Sometimes you just got to outscore people, and I mean that sounds simple because obviously you have to outscore somebody to win. But sometimes you get into these track meets where you've got to answer the other team's touchdowns, and it's a high-scoring affair, and you might have to win at 45-40 or something. So sometimes you just have to win that way because the defense is on either side of the ball can stop the other offense. So, but I think a lot of people right now, if they have questions about this team, it's whether the defense can stop a really good offense, and we'll find out Friday night.
What needs to change defensively? Stanford quarterback multiple times looked really comfortable in the pocket.
I think he's a pretty decent quarterback.
I think so too. He's got some arm talent.
And they have a pretty. Frank Reich is a pretty good play caller. He was a play caller in the NFL. As
for the Eagles
coach,
and the Colts.
Yeah, for a long time, and was a quarterback himself.
Jim Kelly's backup.
Yeah, and so it wasn't like they were playing a bunch of knuckleheads or anything. Stanford's maybe a little short on talent right now, but they have. They're not a horrible football team. They're going to be finished probably toward the bottom of the ACC, but they had some certain talented players in there. I think it all begins with whether they can stop the run or not, and put some pressure on Castellanos, the Florida State quarterback, who is somewhat like Chandler Morris in that he keeps plays alive with his feet. He can beat you with his arm and his leg. Keeps plays alive. It's hard to trap, and they're going to have to try to find a way to contain him, not let him beat them by getting outside of the pocket and making big plays. And they're going to have to be more solid against Florida State's running attack. They've got some pretty good backs and a big offensive line, and that was their whole thing against Stanford. They knew that if they could shut down Stanford's strength early running the ball, that they would force Stanford to have to play from behind and put the ball in the air, and that left them open more for sacks, which they ended up getting 5, and a strip sack, I think, for a fumble. So. But they're gonna have to find a way to contain Castellanos and shut down that running attack and hope for the best.
How about the significance of this game? Put it in perspective. You've covered this team more than anyone.
Yeah.
The significance of a top 10 team coming to Scott Stadium on Friday night, national television, under the lights, at a time where Virginia's got, at this point of the season, a quality product on the field. When's the last time you've seen anticipation or significance like this? Was it the Orange Bowl? Is that the last time? Was it the ACC Championship? Are we in that category here?
I think, well, that's a good point because, I don't think anybody thought they were going to be able to play with Clemson in that ACC championship game in 2019. And even the Orange Bowl, I think there was some excitement, but
We knew on paper they were overmatched in the Orange Bowl.
right. I think people believe that because of past history here with Florida State in night games, that there's some hope of springing an upset. And I know Florida State's ranked 8th in the country, but it's also a team that only won 2 games last season. And, have they completely turned everything around down there or not? I think they're a little nervous coming up here because it's their first road game. It's their first. I think their first. No, they played in Tuscaloosa. It's their first night game.
Florida State has more to lose than UVA has to gain.
Yeah, it's a night game. They know the atmosphere is going to be crazy. At least it should be. Virginia's making a big deal out of this. I think there's going to be some special guests at the game. Maybe some of the guys from those teams from '95 and 2005 when they shocked the college football world. They're bringing back the uniforms, I think, from that '95 team for the game.
There's an aggressive campaign going to fill Scott Stadium.
Yeah,
with discounted seats being offered. I got an email, 2 lower bowl tickets, 95 total for section 111, 112, 115 lower bowl. That's a pretty damn good price.
Yeah, it is. And so, the Scott Stadium can be electric when the fans are there and they're rowdy. I think I've said it on this show before. I'll never forget in 1996 on the ACC football tour when we stopped at Florida State in the preseason, revisiting with Bobby Bowden the '95 game when they had never lost an ACC game before, and they came in here ranked number 2 in the country, and Virginia beat them in a shootout. Lots of playmakers on the field that night for both teams. A lot of those people ended up in the NFL for years. But Bobby Bowden told me, he said, that was the loudest crowd that I have ever witnessed as a head football coach. And they had played in some intimidating places during because he loved to go on the road and take his team to places like Nebraska and Penn State and places like that. And back then, Scott Stadium only seated like 45,000 people.
Right.
So that was quite a compliment that Bowden paid Virginia fans that night. So that place can become a daunting atmosphere for a visiting team if things are going a little sideways. And this being Florida State's first night game, their ACC opener, I think Florida State's a little nervous because they know that Virginia's going to throw everything they've got into this game. And, I mean, who knows? Florida State could come in here and win in a blowout, but they could also come in here and lose. And I think they know that. And not because of all those things I just mentioned, those are contributing factors, but because of Virginia has a lot of playmakers who can take it to the house if they get the right matchups. And I think that scares any defensive coordinator that's getting ready to face an offense like this.
This comment comes in from James Madison. I'm really pleased with the improvements with the special teams this year. Kind of surprised with Bettridge, but I'm hoping he will come around. Can you guys comment on the improvement on special teams? The Bettridge concerns me as well. Missed a field goal against Stanford. Was it a field goal missed against NC State?
Yeah.
Was it multiple missed against NC State?
I think just one, 27 yards.
Just one. The Bettridge kicking concerns me a little bit, although he has a history of consistency with kicking the football, especially sub 40 yards, sub 45 yards. Will Bettridge is not a guy that's going to go kick you a 50-yard game-winning field goal. He doesn't have the leg strength for that. The best aspect of the special teams has been the return game with Ross. I mean, he is absolutely electric.
No question.
Thoughts on special teams with Mr. Madison's comment?
Yeah, I totally agree with him, and that's they put a lot of emphasis on that in the spring and in August training camp, and a lot of it's personnel based. I think a lot of it they went to some NFL teams and other college teams in the off season and studied what they were doing to try to strengthen that part of the team. And but I think again a lot of it goes back to personnel because Ross is dynamic back there. He can take it to the house. All he needs is a little space. He's got the speed. They've got other guys capable as well. There was I can't remember what former player it was that's in the NFL that sent videos back to the team back in training camp and told them how important special teams play is. And when you get to the next level, unless you're a superstar first-round draft choice, your best way of making an NFL team and getting playing time is through special teams, and to not take that for granted. And because of the so many experienced players that they've brought in, of those 30-some transfer guys, a lot of those guys have tons of experience. A lot of them played special teams elsewhere. They bring experience and to special teams, and I think all that has made it just a very important part of the football team. And they know that they can win games that way, and they can lose games that way if you don't take care of those things. So I think you add all that up together, and you've got some pretty solid situations there where in the past they've kind of beaten themselves. This year they're kind of turning the table and beating other teams, or at least making a difference with special teams.
Jeremy Wilson, watching the program, Eastern Tennessee. He says Cookeville, Tennessee Tech product, Daniel Rickett, has looked very good on the defensive line.
Has.
I mean, he's getting after the quarterback. He is got a nose for getting after the quarterback and it disrupting the play in the backfield. He's been impressive, Jeremy Wilson. And he also highlights how significant this game is. Bob Sefik, watching the program. Comments coming in here. We'll get to as many of these comments here before our 11 o'clock stop. This man's heading to Tony Elliott's press conference at 11:30. So got about 5 minutes and change here. Do we have keys for Virginia here? I mean, some of the obvious ones: must win the turnover battle.
Yeah, they can't turn it over.
Yeah. Got to run the football and establish the run.
Yes, absolutely.
They have the horses to establish the run, but this team is good when it establishes the run and gives Chandler Morris the opportunity to play action. Protecting the quarterback is going to be critical. If I'm Florida State's defense, I'm testing the offensive line, especially if the center is not ready to play. We'll find out later today. The wide receivers, you got to get them in space. I got to imagine the film out there is that Harris is a guy that's going to beat you. So he's going to start seeing a safety over the top. Make somebody else beat you if you're the defense besides Harris with the go ball.
And they've got plenty of guys.
They got plenty of guys that can do it. Your thoughts on this? You know football better than anyone.
Yeah, I think you hit some really valid points there. I think a lot of it's going to come down to the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They're going to have to be able to run the football against Florida State and give Morris time and options to get the ball out to a fleet of receivers. And if they decide to take Harris out of the game with their defense, then it's up to Ross and the tight ends and Edrin, who I think has been isn't given enough credit for what he's been able to do as a possession receiver. And,
I agree.
Cam Courtney is a threat. I think they've got some other guys that can make a difference as well. And the tight ends have been pretty darn solid, all three of them. And But I think a lot of it's going to come down to whether Virginia's defense can stop Florida State and shut down their running game. And Castellanos is a very dangerous football player. They contained him well last year when he was at Boston College, and he didn't beat him. But he has the capability, if you let him have his way, he can beat you with his arms and his legs.
100%. Castellanos, your comparison to Chandler Morris, they remind me very similar type of quarterback. Point guard on the field type guys.
Right.
Crazy statistics for you. Jamari Taylor, who looks to me as the best tailback in the backfield. Jamari Taylor.
I think he is, yes.
6.2 yards per carry, average so far in the season. Harrison Whaley, the Wyoming transfer, 8.2 yards a touch. Noah Vaughn, 7.7 yards a touch. Xavier Brown, 4.4 a touch. Chandler, 9.4 a carry. These guys are get the ball to the running backs and see if they can establish the run, which is going to bring that safety up the field, crowd the box, and open up something over the top for wide receivers Trell Harris and Cam Ross that have track speed.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done.
Well, it's exactly what Tony White said yesterday. He said their running game is so good that you got to put extra hats in the box to try to stop them. And if you do that, then he throws it over the top. And so it's
not rocket science.
No, it's not as complicated as it looks.
Right.
But
it's the execution.
The execution is the complicated part of it. And there's going to be a lot of cat and mouse in there. And one thing, and I think Virginia's favor, is Chandler Morris is really good at recognizing what the defense is doing, and he can check down. It can get out of a bad play, or if they change the defense and he sees that it's not going to work, he can change the play. I think Florida State's probably pretty adept at that as well. I think Gus Malzahn said yesterday, we've seen every defensive front known to man already in 3 games. And so these guys are going to be constantly adjusting on both sides of the ball for 60 minutes.
Before we let you go here, and he's going straight to the Tony Elliott press conference, folks. That's 11:30?
Yep.
11:30. Let's hope the traffic from here to Scott Stadium is different.
It was a nightmare this morning.
Clemson. Your take on Clemson's debacle. What are they, 1-3, Hootie?
I can't explain it. I don't think anybody can. And I think everybody's shocked because a lot of people picked Clemson to be the national champion or at least play in the national championship.
And they still could make the college football playoff. It's going to be a stretch.
It would be.
They're 0-2 in conference play. It would be
really tough.
Yeah.
But they have lost 3 games. And
3 games. Well, be really tough.
Yeah. And they still have some tough games coming up. They got to play Carolina and Chapel Bill this week. Is it this week or?
I'll let you know that.
This week.
Carolina's 2-2. Chapel Bill. They just lost to UCF.
Yeah.
2-2.
So I don't know. It's baffling to me. A lot of people thought all they had to do was get by LSU and it was clear sailing, but it's been nothing but rough seas for those guys. And that's the biggest mystery in college football this year. And I don't know what they're going to do.
How about Georgia Tech at 4-0 with a win over Clemson?
I'm not surprised at Georgia Tech. I thought they were going to be good. They were really good last year. Brent Key he's a Saban guy. He played at Georgia Tech. He has a lot of pride in his school. He's got recruiting going really well down there and support in a town where it's mostly a bulldog town.
Yep.
But they're solid. He has built a strong program, and they're going to be contenders, I think.
JerryRatcliffe.com. Man, we're going to be on the website. You guys are humming.
Should be a lot of fun stories this week, that's for sure.
3-1 Virginia against undefeated Florida State under the lights on national television with ESPN and the nation watching.
Yeah, I would encourage you to, if you're a Virginia fan, you haven't read today's story, talking to Tony White, the defensive coordinator, he puts in pretty clear what they think of Virginia, and he said Virginia is no joke.
No joke. It's a lead slot on jerryratcliffe.com, the source for anything UVA related. Jerry Ratcliffe, the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, Hootie as we call him, Judah Wickhauer behind the camera, our MVP. Hootie's heading to the Tony Elliott press conference, T-minus 28 minutes. Thank you kindly for joining us. So long, everybody.
Thank you, sir.